Once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
It's time to go one-on-one with DP. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Derek Pearson, brought to you by Canopy Street Market.
It is gorgeous. Friday. Lincoln, Nebraska. Gorgeous. Lincoln, Nebraska, you're gorgeous today. Appreciate you hanging out with us on a Friday. Congratulations, you made it. All the things you worried about, stressed about this week, none of them beat you. You made it to Friday. Raise your coffee, raise a tea, raise a glass, tip your hat, and enjoy the celebration that is, because you made it. You made it. Lots to talk about over the course of this thing. 402-464-5685, the Starter Heavy text line. You want to be a part of what we're doing? Hit us with a what's up. Appreciate it. Oh, so much. So much going on. You can follow on all the live video streams, Facebook, YouTube, X, Allo Channel 961. And then, if you would, download the Ticket app. Lots of information and opportunity there as well. We're going to start sending some of the gifts and contests through the app. So it's going to make sense for you to follow on social media and have the Ticket app for opportunities to win more prizes. So greatly appreciate it. Bach, kind sir, if you would please pay the bills, pay the bills.
Yes, this hour is sponsored by Hamilton Telecommunications, bringing you the latest quality technology and communications services since 1901. Whether it's residential or business, Hamilton has the answers. Visit hamiltontel.com for more info today.
To go through lots of what's going on here, it's just a big sports weekend. Huskers volleyball, number one ranked Huskers volleyball, go to Penn State tonight to face the reigning defending national champions in volleyball. They will then head to Rutgers tomorrow to do that. And then, of course, Nebraska football hosting Sparty, the Big Green, coming to Lincoln. And what I think, I think it's a fair matchup. I think it's a balanced matchup. And I'm not sure whether anybody could be surprised about what happens tomorrow. We have our ideas about what we would like to see happen. Not sure we have a real clue as to what's actually going to happen. Before we get into the football talk and the baseball talk and other, I spent some time this morning. I got to go to my first Nebraska tennis practice. And Peter Cobalt, Hermando Magro, they've been very welcoming to let me peek behind the curtain and get a greater understanding for what it is that they do, who the young people are that play the sport, and where the end when it comes to tennis. And a couple of things. Bach, I like to think of myself. Do you think, how old are you now, Bach?
35.
35. So when you think of yourself athletically, do you think of yourself like 17-year-old Bach, 25-year-old Bach, 35-year-old Bach? How do you think of yourself?
Like the peak?
Yeah. Well, when you think of what you're able to do, right?
Yeah.
Right. Do you think of yourself, have you given up the fact that you're not 20 years old anymore?
Yeah. I mean, everybody's body develops at different rates. I think generally 28 to 30 might be your peak.
Right. And so being in that space, like we like to think of tennis, and somebody, Dan from Canopy said, tennis is a club sport. It's a club sport till you play it at this level. Because Bach, the conditioning required for them to prepare for the matches that they're going to play and the points that they're going to play, the training, the conversation, the verbiage, the conditioning is insanity. Shot placement, racket control, foot control, core engagement. It is a complicated beast that is tennis, and the drills that I got to witness today enlighten me. It's eye opening from a coaching standpoint. What Cobalt does with not a lot of resources, but his engagement with those young men is authentic. It's real, and his ability to get more out of them than they think is possible, which is a constant and consistent thing. This is Big Ten tennis, and for them to grow and to have the kind of success they had last year, and then for them to have the kind of success that they're working for now, right? I asked them if there was a way that they could invite people in to watch them practice, because now they were out on the outdoor courts at Dillon Tennis Center. So there's that. But Bach, those are different athletes. Those are different. Man, like I was sweating just cheering for them within the competitions, and they did a lot of competition drills, shot making, a lot of theory about where to, shot placement, what shot goes where, when to use it, all the tools that are required, working on all those tools from the ground to the tip of their head, right? And from the ground, from their tip of their toes to their fingertips, everything needs to be under full control all the time. So some of the messaging was impressive, and that you just get to watch Peter Cobalt and his staff, what they did for those young people and what they do on a daily basis. You can see the work that's been going on, because a lot of it is replacing the flag. So in coaching, we always talk about replacing the flag, that you train, you develop, you form, and then you plant the flag. You revisit the things that you've taught to teach the next thing. So you have to replant the flag to make sure you have all the things that are required to this point before we advance and develop. And it's pretty cool to watch. So shout out to I appreciate that, man. It's just it was impressive. It was impressive. Chase asked the question. He asked the question from the Sartor Heyman text on DP Random. Washington Capitals question. Do you think Ovi goes for 1,000 or just calls it quit after the season? I think it depends on how he gets through the season. There's a lot of wear and tear on that young man's body. Ovi has been after this, and last year's chase for the gold record had an effect on him. The stress, the media requirements, carrying the team on his back, and then through the playoffs, etc. So I think one, he went through some real mental, emotional evaluation at the end of the season. And I think depending on the wear and tear of the season, I think that's how that would play out. I don't want to speak for Obi, but having followed it enough to have people in the place, and shout out to Craig Laughlin and Joe Beninati from the Capitals broadcast team that provide way too much information to the dude in Lincoln, Nebraska. It's really cool. And Bach, that's another sport where we don't have a full appreciation for how much work is required for them to excel at that sport. And the shout out to Rocky Russo and the Lincoln Stars for giving us access to go to their practices and see what's going on there. The work required, the skill level required, the consistency, the sacrifice, all those things. So when it comes to Ovi, and he is the great one, I'm just not sure he knows yet. I think in theory he has said that this would be it, but it depends on the numbers and how his body feels. And quite frankly, it may come down to what his wife decides. And we can all understand that because, it's a thing. In this particular week, the Big Ten Conference, they send out, and Bach, I need to remember to send this to you next week when they send them to me. There's a Big Ten press release that they send out, and it just kind of captures the standings, games of the week, matchups of the week, potential records, and that sort of thing that could come into play for that week. But a quick update, quick look is that there are currently four undefeated Big Ten teams overall. Overall undefeated, there are four. Indiana's 5-0, Maryland, Oregon, and Ohio State. And we talked about the thirds, right? The thirds, that if we said the undefeated teams and the 4-1 teams are the top third of the Big Ten football, then again, it's the undefeated teams, Indiana, Oregon, Maryland, Ohio State. And then at 4-1 in overall is Illinois and USC, right? USC having a big win against Michigan State last week, 2 weeks ago. So that showed some things. In conference, the top six are as follows: Indiana, Oregon, Maryland, Ohio State, Michigan, and Minnesota. Those are the teams that have not taken a loss in the Big Ten Conference within the Big Ten schedule. If we want to keep the balance and understand that what else is in play, the one-loss teams, there is a collection of folks with one loss, Nebraska and Michigan State being amongst them. The middle third. The middle third. And then the winless teams at the bottom of it, the teams that are struggling at the bottom, overall at the bottom of the schedule, would also include some one-loss teams. I mean, technically Penn State's in the bottom third of the Big Ten Conference because they haven't won a game in the Big Ten Conference, and they have one loss, which puts them in the bottom group. Now, the folks that are firmly entrenched in the bottom third, Rutgers is 0-2 in the conference, UCLA, Wisconsin, Purdue, Washington. Now, a team that's currently in the middle will fall down to complete that third, but we kind of have a clearer picture of what's in play. Now, Wisconsin travels to Michigan for a noon kickoff, Illinois and Purdue. Well, that's 11 o'clock here. Washington travels to Maryland, which has got to be tough. Northwestern out of conference against Louisiana Monroe. They travel to Northwestern. Penn State travels all the way to UCLA and Los Angeles. Minnesota will travel to Ohio State for a night game, an NBC night game, and Indiana, Iowa, Oregon, Rutgers, USC on a bye week. So they get to recapture some energy, and hopefully they can correct some things that are in play. It was also interesting, Bach, that if we looked at Nebraska's numbers and the attention spent with Dylan Raiola, second-year quarterback, putting up numbers, how important is it to you, Bach, that do Dylan Raiola's numbers tell you everything you need to know about the kind of season he's having? And does it give you faith that he will have the kind of season we think he needs to have for Nebraska to be successful?
I wouldn't say it's a complete look at what the season is. Obviously, a couple of those games against Akron and Houston Christian, and quite honestly, he could have put up more numbers in those games if they wanted to, if that was the goal. Mm-hmm. But I always kind of separate a little bit of kind of the competition you're going to see moving forward in the Big Ten. Generally, is going to be better than those teams. And it's a blanket statement, but it's a true statement. So for the most part, right? I mean, I don't know. UCLA might be whittled down to nothing, but we'll see what happens as they seem to drop a coach every week. But in any case, Dylan's numbers have been fantastic. I don't necessarily go in as far as like, all right, this is the third of the season, project him 3 times forward, because I think you are going to face tougher competition. But it's a big part of the story, and it's a big part of the jump for both Aiden Childs and Dylan this week, is going from 13 touchdowns and 11 picks to where they are now with for Dylan, 11 touchdowns and 1 interception. That shows great improvement. What happened last year with Dylan, though, wasn't that it was just a kind of a struggle throughout the season, is that he started off really well and then kind of maybe hit that freshman wall. But that can happen as well when you're playing tougher competition. So you hope you don't see that in the way, kind of take place this season. And then specifically for this game, Michigan State doesn't have a very good pass defense. So this should be They haven't had a sack. When I talk about dividing the games against Power 4 opponents, Michigan State has not had a sack or an interception against Boston College or USC this year. So none against Power 4 competition. So on paper, this should be a favorable matchup for Dylan Raiola to add to those stats.
The 11.5 point favorite. 11.5. If recent data says that these games come down to they've been 5 points or less the last 5 games, what about this feels like an 11.5 point Nebraska favorite game?
I think for me, I've been going through my head about this all week because it seems a little high to me.
And you've changed your mind a couple of times.
Well, I just feel like maybe it's speaking more about Michigan State's injuries on the front, on the offensive line there. They got some linebacker injuries that they're working through. Obviously, for a team that's far from complete, those can be some problems that'll pop up. But I'm fascinated. Like Carricker read this stat the other day about Nebraska. Every time they're a double-digit favorite, these numbers sometimes. It's obviously any numbers for Nebraska football the last 10 years have been terrible. So nothing shocks you, but it's like, okay, they haven't fared well in those games. And I think back to the Cincinnati game where I was told by everybody, yeah, this should be a 10, 14 point game. And I'm going into it thinking, I'm not sure. And here we are again, Nebraska, a double-digit favorite. And I'm going, seems a little high. I'm not necessarily expecting a 13, 14 point win. I'll take it.
Yeah, well, that really is kind of the deal. Like, we would like for it to be true, but I'm not sure that we're believing. And I don't know why. Because I would have thought you give credit to this year's team, right? And we try to be present. But absolutely have the capability of going, yeah, but I remember we did this before. It didn't go well. Like, it's a thing. And I don't know that, like, we spent 3 weeks talking about a mobile quarterback giving Nebraska defensively the blues. And now this mobile dual threat quarterback is better than the one that gave Nebraska problems. Like, is that a fair statement that Childs is probably more talented than what they've seen before?
Yeah, I think that's probably fair, especially coming into his own. Again, he struggled through a little bit through year one as the starter and now starting to kind of figure it out.
I was fascinated. From the text line, I said, DP, did you just say Maryland was 5-0? They're 4-0, but undefeated. Like, undefeated overall and in the Big Ten. If you win, I mean, this is how it works. And I think Washington coming to town, I mean, traveling across country, swapping time zones, and then, oh, by the way, we're going to – they were kind and made it a 3:30 kickoff instead of making, that normal Maryland 12 noon, 11 o'clock game. They did allow that. But, yeah, Maryland – and they loom on the schedule. They loom on the schedule. And not that you can pay attention to anything other than the person, team, program that's in front of you. But my goodness gracious. This conference is not a complete picture. It's just not. And that's the thing, right? That ultimately, I think we're still learning who these teams are, who the players are. And of course, then injuries, as Bach said, the injuries play into it. And sometimes the folks who are providing that information know more information and share information. And that ends up affecting the point spread. Like, oh, they don't know that this player is really banged up or this player is not gonna play, but that it also falls into the, hey, we've got a surprise coming. We know some things. We're gonna do some things that we haven't done. We can't share them with you now, but you'll see them at kickoff. You'll see in the first seat. You'll see. And hey, Bach, what if they're right?
Could be. I hope so.
Like, what if Dana's actually in the bag, right? Dana's in his bag and he's seen some things. What if, maybe defensively they've spotted some things and they figured out what his escape route is, since, that's required to keep him in the pocket. Maybe there's a thing that you take away that reduces his efficiency, or maybe, you open windows that he doesn't like throwing through. There's some things. So yeah, 11.5. It just does. It seems like a lot.
By the way, if Cubsker is blown away by Maryland being 4-0,
Mm-hmm.
This one, the stat that really blow them away is that they lead the nation in non-con consecutive victories with 18. I was shocked when I heard that because, Maryland's been a little bit up and down under Mike Loxley. Last year kind of lost the team, but as far as non-con wins, write them down. They're winning those games.
Well, I mean, I will reach a point where we won't be surprised by Maryland because resources and talent. We know what's available to the Maryland Terrapin program. Now, whether they're effective and whether they're efficient and whether they're consistently finishing things, that's a whole different discussion. But currently, what we know and what we've seen this year is that Maryland's ability to finish and compete. And we're still learning. Again, we some other notes from the Big Ten. So Ohio State's Caden Curry was Defensive Player of the Week. 11 tackles, 9 solo tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and 3 quarterback sacks. Have a day, sir. Have a day. David Olano took home the Special Teams Player of the Week, kicking a walk-off 41-yarder to give Illinois the 34-32 win against USC. He made 6 kicks, but 2 field goals and 4 extra points to garner that award. Minnesota's Drake Lindsey was Freshman of the Week. The quarterback went 31 of 41 for 324 and 3 tutties in Minnesota's 31-28 win over Rutgers. The newcomers' 31 completions were tied for 5th most in program history, and the 41 attempts were 4th most since 1995 without an interception. So he took care of the ball. Indiana and Oregon currently rank among the nation's top 15 in both scoring, offense, and defense, with those 2 triggers that kind of let you know that you're a balanced team with depth and things can go well. 6 Big Ten teams rank in the top 25 in scoring, or 6 additional. Ohio State is first in scoring defense, only averaging 5.5 a game. Maryland, we just talked about, they're 7th at 10.8 points a game. Penn State, just under 12. Nebraska also in that top group at 13.5 points a game. Iowa is 23rd at 15.5 points a game, and Minnesota at just over 16 points a game. The Big Ten is proud of that, and the fact that in the top 8 AP poll, there are four Big Ten teams in the AP top 8. Indiana at 8, Penn State at 7, Oregon at 2, Ohio State at 1. The coaches poll has 4. They're spread out a little differently. They're in the top 9. Indiana comes in at 9, Penn State at 6, even after the loss, Oregon at 2, and Ohio State at 1. And there are some folks, Michigan and Illinois make the top 20. Southern Cal, Maryland make the others receiving votes category. And as far as the coaches, Nebraska got 4 coaches to give them honorable mention. So there's movement. They gave Iowa 3. So, so there. Kurt Cignetti is setting a path that in his first 11 games in the Big Ten Conference, he's 10-1. Bach, have we figured out what Kurt Cignetti does better than anybody else?
Yeah, win. Google him.
Right. Like, do we know why?
Well,
is this development? Is this coaching?
Yeah.
Is this scheme? Is this recruiting? What is it about Kurt Cignetti?
I think it's just everything. And I say that because it's not offense or defense. It's offense and defense. Obviously we know he brought a lot of those players over from James Madison. Seems to just, be able to get the most out of his players. It's tough. If it's tough to say. He just puts good teams together. If there was an obvious, kind of way about going about it, a lot of people would go through that platform, but he's got it figured out, and he's making fans in athletic departments across the country, everybody angry at their coach because they can't do what Kurt Cignetti has done.
It is an interesting thing. Bach will go to break when we come back. Big Ten coaches. Now, of the 18 current Big Ten coaches, Bach, How many of them you think are over 500 in the Big Ten? How many current coaches do you think are over, not at 500, over 500 in the Big Ten? Yeah. Of the 18, how many there are? We'll give the list when we come back.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store. You're listening to One-on-One with DP on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
It's hard to choose a favorite at Hog Wild, but I'd have to say it's their award-winning ribs. Hog Wild buys their meat from those who share their high-quality standards, then hand rubs each slab with their famous seasoning blend and slow smokes them over hickory each and every day for flavor and tenderness you're gonna keep coming back for. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Mike, the insurance company wants us to replace the roof.
Wait, what? I thought everything was fine.
Yeah, it says right here our roof is too old and they won't be able to cover us anymore.
I guess it is 15 years old. Hi, I'm Austin with Roofing Service Company. We help homeowners with their roofing and siding projects. Financing options are available, and we can get you under a new roof no time at all. If this sounds like you, visit roofingservicecompany.com. That is roofingservicecompany.com.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Austin Norman here. Join me and Jay Foreman for Old School, live from Cornhusker Bank at 83rd and O this Friday for their Customer Appreciation Tailgate Party. Larry the Cable Guy will join us during the show, and there's free food and refreshments. We'll be out there for the show starting at 3. You're invited to join us from 4 to 6 p.m. this Friday for Cornhusker Bank's Customer Appreciation Tailgate Party, only at Cornhusker Bank on 83rd and O. Salt Mine City is your go-to brewery in the Haymarket for craft beers and great food. Enjoy a full menu of great items daily for lunch and dinner, like their Big Fatty 7-ounce hamburger or a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. And don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, now open 2 p.m. Monday through Thursday and 11 a.m. Friday through Sunday at 8th and R.
Join LES at 6 p.m. Thursday, October 9th at the LES Operations Center to learn about the utilities' proposed 2026 budget and electric rates, and share your input at the annual public meeting. Learn more at les.com.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
This just in, hot off the bench press. Planet Fitness has expanded strength equipment. We're raising the bar with these benches, and our hack squat will have you actually looking forward to leg day. Plus, we're still repping all the best-in-class equipment we've always had. There's no better time to get stronger. Join the club today for $1 down, $15 a month, now through October 10th. Planet Fitness is proud to partner with Boys and Girls Clubs of America to create stronger, kinder communities. See Home Club for details.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
I'm Kirk Herbstreit, and today I'm eating Raising Cane's.
Herbstreit's in the drive-thru again. Oh, hey, Kirk. What can I get you today?
I want a solid bench of 4 chicken fingers that are real difference makers. Crinkle-cut fries with dynamic ridge patterns, Texas toast, and cane sauce with an air of smugness that comes from knowing you're the best. Now back to you, Todd.
So the usual.
Make Raising Cane's part of your game day lineup. One love.
John Henry's has a brand new membership club to protect your entire home in one program. With a VIP and a deluxe option, we will help you find the plan that best fits your needs. Receive discounts on services and equipment, priority service, complimentary inspections, and so much more. Protect your home's plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical systems all in one membership. Call John Henry's to learn more.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
When the clock strikes 0 after every Nebraska football game, there's only one place to go for instant coverage. Tune in for the Husker After Party Postgame Show on 93.7 The Ticket for each game, win or lose. Call in with all your takes or text the show at 464-5685 and hear quotes from the players and coaches, too. It's the Husker After Party Postgame Show. Sponsored by Anderson Ford and Vinny Krikak of State Farm Insurance. You're listening to One on One with DP, brought to you by Canopy Street Market on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Oh, man, welcome back. Carricker will join us at 12 noon, take it over. Black shirt, follow that. And then we'll be at Cornhusker Bank. Larry the Cable Guy will be in town, and we'll sit down with Jay and Austin, and we fully invite you to stop by. If you don't have an account with them, you don't need one, but they may try to convince you. As they probably should. Bach, we're talking about Big Ten coaches. And within, and again, in the weekly reports, they have the list of coaches, their coaching records, and their records in the Big Ten. So, Bach, of the 18 current head coaches in the Big Ten Conference, how many of them do you think have an above 500 coaching record in the Big Ten?
Trying to do some quick addition here.
So think about it. I mean, Bielema, Cignetti, Ferentz, Loxley, Moore, Smith, Fleck, Rule, Braun, Day, Lanning, Franklin, Odom, Schiano, Skipper, Riley, Fish, Fickle. How many of the 18 have above winning records? So at least one game above 500 as far as winning coaches.
The easy out is just to say 9, because that would be half. You'd expect half the conference to win, half the conference to lose. But as I count through it, I think that might be close to my guess, because I would think that Cignetti does, that Lanning does. That's two, so I'll count on my fingers here. That Ryan Day does. I think Sharon Moore would. PJ Fleck's questionable. Lincoln Riley. Those are tough calls. I'll put those aside for a second. I would say Bielema probably does. Ferentz does. And then James Franklin obviously does. I'm gonna go with 8.
Okay. So remember, I keep educating folks, the law of thirds. The law of thirds, that there are 6 on one side of the spectrum, 6 on the other side of the spectrum, and then 6 in the middle, right? Fair. Brett Bielema, 19 games over 500.
19 games in conference?
57 and 38 in the conference. Count him as one. Curt Cignetti, 9 games over 500 at 10-1. Yes. Kirk Ferentz, he is 39 games over 500, 129 and 90 in the Big Ten Conference. Michael Loxley, no. Sharon Moore, he is 2 games over 500 at 6-4. at 6-4.
Still trying to figure out which games he coaches and which ones not. There's just a lot going on.
How
there.
are you getting credit, right? Right. Biff is getting current credit for wins. Or at least I think he is. Jonathan Smith, no, he is 4 games under 500. PJ Fleck, Minnesota, 1 game under 500 at 35-36. Matt Rule.
We have to do this one.
We do. Those are the rules. No, 7 games under 500. David Braun, Northwestern, 4 games under 500. Ryan Day, 42 games over 500 at 47-5. Dan Lanning, undefeated in the Big Ten at 11-0. James Franklin, 30 games over 500, 64-34. Tim Skipper, no. Lincoln Riley, 50-50 ball. He's a 500 coach at 6-6. Jed Fish, Washington, 5-6. Luke Fickell.
Still needs a quarterback. Someone that
he went
stay healthy.
He went and got dudes. And
I know.
He couldn't keep Billy Edwards healthy.
Do you think? There's other areas of Wisconsin that could improve and get better and keep his job there. But is he getting a fair look? Because his quarterbacks are getting injured every year.
It is your job to protect them, sir. It is absolutely a part of the job description to protect your players at all costs. Trying to figure out one, your strength training, your physical trainers, all those people, right? To do whatever, and it is maybe the thing that we don't talk about enough when we talk about college athletics are the people who are responsible for crafting, curating, creating the bodies for you to do the thing that you were brought to that university and that program to do. So as a quarterback in Fickell's system, now that's a little different than if you're zone reading yourself to death, right? That if you're a runner, the Adrian Martinez era let us know that there is a responsibility to getting and keeping your player healthy enough to play the game the way they need to play it in your system. So if you're going to ask Adrian Martinez to run it 20 times, you have to change his body so that it can withstand taking the pounding. I'm not sure they did that, and I'm not sure that's the thing. Wisconsin has that problem. There are coaches who are trying to figure out how to manage their quarterbacks, their receivers. How you train your offensive left tackle is not the same as how you develop your quarterbacks. Your running games and receivers have different skill sets and different needs. So you've got to train them, develop them differently. That's part of it, right? Imagine you gave the same workout plan to your punter as you do your starting center. Things wouldn't necessarily go well. So it's a part of the responsibility of the head coach to pick the right trainers, to pick the right strength trainers, to pick the right therapists, right? Because that's a part of it as well. Those people that help them recover, the nutritionists, if you're sharing your nutritionist and you're the big breadwinner. Think the people that are in charge of Nebraska's nutrition training, they're spread pretty thin because they're doing it at such a high level. But the other programs in the athletic department require that as well. Now, it certainly helps that men's and women's tennis only have 8 players for you to take care of, so you can fold them into what you're doing. But you still got the band, you still got cheerleaders, you still got the Scarlets. Like you've got a lot. So it's a part of the deal for you to be there. They count the days at Bielema's days at Wisconsin. But that was the thing. If you have success, people like to talk about Big Ten football. Well, what that means? Well, that changes and that evolves, right? The Big Ten football game from 8 years ago isn't the same as it is now. And as it evolves, the top programs evolve quickest and best. Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon have figured out how to evolve. Indiana is currently changing the way Big Ten football identifies itself and its top competitors, right? Because if we said 5 years ago, Indiana football, we'd have shrugged the shoulders and went, meh, We can't do that now. And now we have to figure out why. Because if they're having success in the Big Ten Conference, everybody else has to figure out how they're doing it. Right? We're not counting Indiana as a football factory. We're not counting them as the program with the greatest resource. So what are they doing? That's why I asked you what Cignetti was doing. Have we figured that out? Because that's what's moving the needle in the Big Ten Conference. That's the teams at the bottom third have to scout Curt Cignetti because he's showing you there's a way. There's a way to take a bottom third program and team in the Big Ten Conference and turn it into an actual contender. So everybody else has to pay attention. And you know who pays attention the most? People at the top of the conference. Because here they come. Here comes Indiana. What's Cignetti doing? And that's how you get got. That's how you get got. There's some teams that didn't know, okay, what does Oregon football look like in the Big Ten? Well, it looks undefeated in the Big Ten. And you better figure out, if you're trying to win the Big Ten, Ohio State and Michigan have to figure it out. Wisconsin got caught. They got caught. Penn State's trying to figure out, look, they changed it. They changed the look of the wide receivers. They changed some of the play calling. They changed some of the development and some of the schemes. They're trying to win the Big Ten Conference. There's still programs that are trying to compete in the Big Ten Conference, right? I'll ask you this, Bach, and it is in text line, y'all can chime in as well. Is Nebraska competing to be good in the Big Ten, great in the Big Ten, or win the Big Ten? Honestly, is Nebraska a contender in the Big Ten Conference? Bob?
Not that they don't have aims for that, but I don't think realistically at this point.
So do they have the likelihood, the presence, the development, the coaching, the talent to be in the top 3 in the Big Ten?
Again, I think they're working toward that.
Top 6 in the Big Ten.
I think you could say that, yeah.
Would you currently put Nebraska's program top 6 in the Big Ten Conference for football?
I'd probably put them closer to 8th, 9th.
Okay, right? Then you're trying to get good. Like to go from, we understood they were sick of being in the bottom third, right? So let's get out of the bottom third. Let's get to the middle third. And then getting to the middle third, there are all sorts of disclaimers and parameters to that, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely is it that in the next year, let's say the next 16 football games, that Nebraska reaches top third status? Bach, what say you?
If you haven't looked at next year's schedule, it is going to be considerably more difficult. And I think that will lower the likelihood. That's why, they've got to take the jump here this game. The Michigan, not this game, but in these next couple of games, because the time is now. The schedule's going to get significantly more difficult next year. There's no more Purdue's and Northwestern's, UCLA's to kind of cover it up and give you some Big Ten wins there. Not that they were beating all those teams when they needed to, but so I think the likelihood is real. We got to see it. They've got to be able to not only compete with the Penn States and the USC's and the Iowas, but cross the line, get some wins. And so, I think there's a chance, but right now, that's why I kind of still think of Nebraska as a growing program, not necessarily as a competitor.
The text line says this, Nebraska is not a contender. They seem like they only care about making money and not winning. They go further to say Nebraska's top 3 financially, but in the 2 main men's sports, basketball and football, they're bottom 3 in winning. So the bottom third of winning. You can elevate, right? Because the 7-win season puts you firmly in the middle, right? You're in the middle 6, but you're in the bottom half of the middle third, right? Truth be told. How likely is it, and are we asking too much of this football team to think that they're entitled to beat Michigan State? Because Michigan State has its own goals and aspirations. What say you, Bach? Are we giving too much, or should this be the expectation?
I think, again, at some point you do want to move the goalpost forward, and I think that's the hope, and I think that's what is kind of in that 11.5 point spread is Nebraska, you can say what you want about the Houston Christian and Akron games and lack of competition, but they made it look like they didn't belong in the field with them, right? And Nebraska hasn't historically done that. Now the next step, Michigan State, a team you should be better than by many metrics, make it look like that on the field. Am I ready to believe in that? Particularly with Michigan State, I have a little bit of a fear because 2 years ago, Nebraska needed one win to get to, this is Matt Rule, this is not years past, had a chance to get to a bowl game and lost to Harlan Burnett, who was an interim coach, and Michigan State was on a 6-game losing streak. So again, that's why every next game we always say is the most important, but there's always a story within those games about why this situation has been ailing Nebraska in the recent years.
Yeah, it is. And I think it is interesting, and we have to be careful at the same time. You want to project forward, but you also want to have eyes currently where you stand, and then recognizing the past, like the data that got us here, in the thinking that we have, right? There's tons of data. We have more data on what was than what will be. We can hope, like we don't have all the data on what we're actually seeing. We don't know. The story's untold. As the movie plays itself out, we'll have more information, but it's always, we watch movies and we try to figure out what the end is. You watch a murder mystery. It's like, let me see if I can figure out who did it and how they did it. We're not always right. We're not always right. If you want to talk top third, right? So in thirds, I think it's fair to say Rutgers, UCLA, Wisconsin, Purdue, Washington are 5 of the bottom 6 currently, right? Even at 3-1, Washington's 3-1 for the season. Nebraska, Northwestern, Michigan State, Iowa. Depending on how the games go this weekend, one of those teams may slip into that bottom third. You don't want to be a part of it. Get a win this week so you can at least stay in the middle third with the opportunity of moving up to the top third. And I think the top third, in fairness, Indiana, Oregon, Maryland, Ohio State, you can say the 4-win teams, or you can add Penn State and say that's a 5th since they're ranked in the top 5. If Penn State is number 5, then it's Michigan, Minnesota, USC, Illinois as the next group, maybe Nebraska. Because that's where that middle 6 is coming from. And there's value in that because you could end up at the Music City Bowl. At least that's what we're told. We'll go to break. We'll close out one-on-one, get you all set up for after.
Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. You're listening to One-on-One with DP on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
The Nebraska Lottery announces a great new lotto game for our state, Nebraska Pick 4. What's so great about it? Well, it costs just $1 to play. There's a $6,000 top prize, there are drawings every day, and you could choose from 6 different bet types. If you like Nebraska Pick 3, you're going to love Nebraska Pick 4. So stop into your favorite Nebraska Lottery retailer and play today. It's the game you've been waiting for. Straight bet top prize odds 1 in 10,000.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
Join LES at 6 p.m. Thursday, October 9th at the LES Operations Center to learn about the utilities' proposed 2026 budget and electric rates, and share your input at the annual public meeting. Learn more at les.com.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC. This month kicks off Koppel's 50th anniversary sale. We're celebrating 50 years by offering an additional $500 discount to the next 100 customers that buy a new vehicle. This is in addition to the huge savings already in place. You can take an extra $500 off our discounted price, or we can cut you a check on the spot. Celebrate with savings and see why customers have trusted Koppel since 1975. It's our way of saying thank you for all these years.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
Mike, the insurance company wants us to replace the roof.
Wait, what? I thought everything was fine.
Yeah, it says right here our roof is too old and they won't be able to cover us anymore.
I guess it is 15 years old. Hi, I'm Austin with Roofing Service Company. We help homeowners with their roofing and siding projects. Financing options are available, and we can get you under a new roof no time at all. If this sounds like you, visit roofingservicecompany.com. That is roofingservicecompany.com.
Salt Mine City is your go-to brewery in the Haymarket for craft beers and great food. Enjoy a full menu of great items daily for lunch and dinner, like their Big Fatty 7-ounce hamburger or a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. And don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, now open 2 p.m. Monday through Thursday and 11 a.m. Friday through Sunday at 8th and R.
I can't believe I just scratched that car. Find my insurance card.
Dude, what do you have in this glove box? Ew, are these socks dirty?
Oh, forget about the socks. I need my insurance card.
Just pull it up on the State Farm mobile app.
But I can do that? Oh, hey, I can do that.
Yep, it's called service.
I can file a claim on here too?
Yeah, it's called service.
Whoa, I can call my agent too?
It's called service.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krikak, today at 402-474-1173.
Hi, I'm Sarai, your personal banker here at Midwest Bank. I'm proud to serve our community in English and in Espanol because everyone deserves a banker who understands them. This Hispanic Heritage Month, we're celebrating the traditions, values, and dreams that make our community strong. Whether you're opening your first account, planning for the future, or growing your business, estoy aquí para ayudarle a alcanzar sus metas. I'm here to help you reach your goals. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Member FDIC.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine. It'll be breezy and hot. Afternoon high around 90. Tonight, mainly clear skies, a continued breeze, a low around 71. And tomorrow, we'll see mainly sunny skies. It'll be windy and warm with an afternoon high near 89. I'm meteorologist Kyle Hunter for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
The party is back on in Lincoln this fall, and there's no party like the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Join the whole Ticket crew for 2.5 hours of pregame coverage before every home and away game this football season as they get you ready for the game. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at our downtown studio at 11th and O. Sponsored by Select Plumbing, Raising Cane's, Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Currency, and the Kindler Hotel. You're listening to One on One with DP, brought to you by Canopy Street Market on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Fantastic. Fantastic along the way, Brock. It's always, in the conversations about where they stand. And this is a chance for Nebraska to reset itself in the Big Ten Conference. But if you're talking about top third, lower third, middle third, currently sitting in the middle third, and then if you're going to move up from the middle third to the top third, who are you going to replace? Like, there's only room for 6 teams in the top third. So Indiana's undefeated, Oregon's undefeated, Maryland's undefeated, Ohio State's undefeated. So if you tell me that if they take a loss and have one loss, you're going to move past them, I'm not sure you can. Can't move, but you can move past Maryland next week, right? When you play them. But that still means that you got to move above Penn State, which I don't think you do. And you don't move above Michigan, who just beat you. So who are you going to be better than? That means you have to be better than Illinois, right? Who probably not. You get a chance in 2 weeks to be better than Minnesota and move them down. I think that's the thing to circle, is that this is opportunity. And it's a favorite word in sport, but it's also the one that is the most compromising because it makes you commit. It's an opportunity. Saturday is an opportunity. Tomorrow's an opportunity. Secure yourself that, you know what, we're in the top half of the Big Ten. And then we want to be in the top third. And then we'll be in a position with a win over Michigan State that allows you to look at Maryland and Minnesota, who are also having Michigan State, Maryland, Minnesota are all having the same conversations about their program and their team and their season that Nebraska is. Now, the real thing of how it plays out is it's a gauntlet. It's the gauntlet, Bach. You got to get through and you got to get some wins. Hopefully, they do that. 11.5-point favorite at home.
And they do, you know, you don't want to look too far down the road, but I did find this interesting when I was looking at the other day, is that USC is one of those teams that you would eventually think maybe they could supplant if they're a top 6. You know, they're kind of competing with Nebraska in that middle third. USC does have 2 ranked teams before they play Nebraska, but that's it. Nebraska's got 4 games in front of them before they play USC. USC has 2. Because they've, you know, Nebraska's already taken the bye week. USC has 2 of them in front of them. So it's kind of interesting, just the way the schedule sets up there. That kind of shocked me when I looked at it, but I guess it makes some sense.
Think about it in order. Michigan State, same. Maryland, same. Probably ahead. Minnesota, same, ahead. USC, same, ahead. Here. Listen, you get to write your own story. That's the real part. You get to write your own story. One chapter at a time. Tomorrow, midday kickoff against Michigan State. Opportunity to write your own story. Write a good one. We get to critique the movie, but y'all get to write it. Y'all don't go anywhere. Adam Carricker will take you to 1 o'clock here on the